Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life, where we talk mostly about life in the garden. And we have some life here that is begging to get out of these little seed starting trays and get into some deeper soil. We've had a few of these. In fact, this one right here is one of the seeds that I planted from my mom. These are 12-year-old seeds, 13-year-old seeds actually, and it has been neglected a little bit, and I'm afraid it has said goodbye to us. This is the black-seeded Simpson lettuce that we planted on September 23rd, and right now it's October 16th. But we won't be planting that up because it already looks a little bit miserable, despite being watered and taken care of as best I can. It was a 13-year-old seed, so I really wasn't expecting a whole lot from it anyway. So we do have a lot here though that is ready to go. The interesting thing is you can see it's dry in here. I actually filled this morning. Well, not filled. I poured about a little over a quarter inch, somewhere between a quarter and a half inch of water in here, and within a few hours what was here drank it up. Because, and if I lift one of these out, pick one, it probably won't take me too long to find roots sticking out the bottom here. Roots that were reaching down inside the grooves here to actually just drink the water right out of that tray. So yeah, there's little roots sticking out all over here that suck that water out. But anyway, we're going to plant these up and put them in recycled solo cups. I have the soil over here that we're going to be using. I've been maintaining this. I've spoke about it a few times in our recent seed starting videos. And we're just going to start potting these up. Show you my favorite tool here to start with. But before we do that, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave.
So here we got a starting tray of Green Globe artichoke, Green Globe improved artichoke from Botanical Interests. We just bought these, no sponsorship or anything. It's just who I bought them from. I do like the Epic Gardening channel, who is the owner of this. But there's a couple of things that I want to point out about seed starting, and then I'm going to just tear into this and do some time-lapse videography of the actual work. So first things first, behind this little tag, I want to show you this one cell right here. And you'll notice that this one cell has two plants. And now that I look at it, I think this one plant here is actually not even a Green Globe artichoke. I think that's a lettuce. Now, it's best to take these things out, the extra ones out, and you can pull that, or but the problem with pulling that is that when you pull those roots, you might disturb the roots of the good plant in there. And you can see not so healthy looking plant, healthy looking plant. So really, it's even better if you just take a pair of scissors, snip that right off at the base. Now, I'll be honest, I think that was probably a spare seed from the lettuce I planted nearby, maybe, I don't know. But also, don't lose your tag, please. Make your life happy. But also notice, now I have talked about cotyledon leaves. Cotyledon leaves are the very first leaves that come up. You can see here they're kind of round. They have little extra detail to them, very little extra detail to them, just kind of an oval leaf. These are the leaves that come as part of the seed that was planted. And think of it as the first little solar panels that the space station pops out to just get some energy to get the rest of the things working. Well, now you see these leaves up here, they have kind of defined edges here, and the new leaf here is looking kind of defined. These are actually what we call true leaves. Cotyledon leaves, true leaves. And I think most plants have those two classifications. They don't always have two cotyledon leaves. A lot of seeds do have 2 cotyledon leaves. Some, like onions, only have 1 cotyledon leaf. So that makes it a monocot. It's just another way they classify plants. It's not very important, but you know, I like to bring you along to show you the important things here as we process these plants and so forth. Let me set that up here. So this one here is an early snowball cauliflower. Now, cauliflower needs space, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, these were Ferry Morris seeds. They came from Lowe's, our big box hardware store. I wasn't sure how great they were going to germinate. Apparently they did okay, didn't they? Problem is, cauliflower needs space. And so you can see like this one cell right here has 2 plants in it, one here and one here. And we can't have plants growing old this close together. The reason is because they won't all develop. In fact, if they're too close together, it'll actually stunt their growth. And so from this one cell, I only want 1 plant to start. And I just noticed there's 3 actually. There's this one here, this short one, this one leaning over is in the same cell, and this one sticking straight up. Well, what you want to do is you want to look for the best of the things that are in there to keep, and you want to take out the rest. Now again, remember, we don't just yank them out. We don't want to disturb the seeds of that good one in there. And incidentally, cotyledon leaf, kind of not very defined, true leaves. These leaves are more like what the plant's going to look like. They're actually very close, but you'll notice these cotyledon leaves are already starting to brown because I'll bet you anything, these things have a lot of roots. In fact, let's just do this. I'm going to pull this one out of the cell and just look at how many roots are actually growing inside, inside this cell. Okay, so really messed that up, didn't I? You can see here though, there are roots in there growing out to the edge. They're reaching out, they're ready to reach out farther. And so just little tiny hair-like roots. Let's see if I can get that back in the way it was. That didn't go as well as I had hoped. But what I'm gonna do though is I'm simply going to snip out of here the seedlings that look the worst. And I'm going to do that for every single cell. This cell here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 in there. We'll take out these 3 small ones that are kind of leaning over. Here's another small one that's kind of leaning over right there. And I'll take out this one, leaving 1 to continue growing in that cell. And basically, you're gonna just work your way around, taking out the least healthy plants in each cell. Now that I've done this to this one, you'll notice that these plants have a bit more space. So I looked at the roots. The roots were not as root bound as I thought they would be, but look, these guys have more space now. And I'll go ahead and do the rest of this, but compared to this green globe artichoke, look how little space this one has versus how much space this one has. This one can actually stay in its starter tray a little bit longer. In fact, I would like for it to get a little stronger so that what just happened in this cell that I pulled out doesn't happen again. If I see there's another cell with, this is the green, oh, no, this is the mesclun, I'm sorry. This is the green globe. Still growing close together, and it's time to get these guys out of here to start growing their own lives. And what we're going to be doing is we'll be planting them up into solo cups. Now this one here, this is a butter crunch, yes, a butter crunch, and you'll see every single cell has a lot in it. Now these were new seeds. They generated really good and grew really good. We don't need that much. Now this is part of what we're going to be growing inside in our bay window in the dining room, And so I will try to leave maybe 2 in each of these, because these are not going to grow huge, because they're just going to spend their life in a solo cup. And we're going to be cutting them as we need them. And they'll only grow maybe about so tall before their life is over and it's time to take them out and start again. But this is how I've learned that I can grow lettuce and we can stay in lettuce. But there's a lot of plants in here, so this will be a lot of food for Mrs. Bowtie and myself. So that's actually a good, promising thing. I will trim down to maybe 2 plants per cell in there. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing, is trimming down, looking for roots coming out. This one that I was just looking at right here, these roots in the cauliflower are not as developed as I thought they would be. There are, well, I see one root coming out the bottom from that one. I'm going to leave this in the tray maybe another week before I up pot it. I will trim them back, but I consider myself a relatively new gardener, so I'm still figuring some of this out. But you can see there, we've got 6 plants with a little bit more space now, and they're going to start doing better because they have that more space. So here is a ball of well-developed roots. You'll see there's roots wrapping all the way around there and all the way down to the end. It actually holds the whole dirt clod together. This is a mesclun from an old seed, from a 12-year-old seed, and this is what we're looking for. This thing is ready to get out. I don't have to disturb those roots or anything. So, simply going to put this inside there. And I'll use a little bit of extra soil to build it up. And that is ready to go. It will start picking up once it finds its place and the light starts getting on it. I'm not sure what this is. This plant doesn't look like that plant. I'm pretty sure that's the mesclun, but that may be a butter crunch. So yeah, now I'm really confused. I'm going to plant it up like I was planning on. But therein lies the weakness of spreading seeds too thickly. It has good roots. So I want to talk about my favorite little tool here for up potting out of these seed starting trays. This is called an icing spatula. I got it at Walmart for, I don't know, $3 to $5. Reason why I like it, number one, it's real thin, and I can go down the sides of the soil inside these starting trays and lift out the block. The next thing I like about it is I can go in here and make a hole, and notice if I do the hole just right, the hole is the exact shape. It's squarish, and it's almost the exact shape and size of the plug that's coming out of that seed starting tray. So I go like that. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. This is just the way I do it. That's all. And see there, I dropped it anyway, after all that talk. Now I am filling these up to the top. I'm not concerned about being filled up to the top for 2 reasons. Normally you fill up a little bit below the top because when you're pouring water in it, it'll hold the water in the cup. Well, I'm not planning on pouring water in these. We are going to be bottom watering these, and that's going to come up later. But I'm going to take my tag and keep it with these. I'm going to keep it with this one because I'm pretty sure that's the mesclun I'm a little concerned that this might be, I have no idea what it is. I guess it could be one of this. What is this here? Brussels sprouts. Maybe it's Brussels sprouts. I don't know. If it's a Brussels sprout, it's going to take over the whole house. It's going to be like Audrey 2. What movie is that from? Put in the comments. Okay, so that little tray is taken care of. Let's just get moving and do a bunch of these. Okay, so here we are looking at the project table here. These are the ones I just planted up in solo cups, and you can see most of these have two plants in them. I may end up losing another one, which is why I actually put 2 in there. These 2 actually only have 1. The leaves look very different, so I'm not sure which one of these is actually the mesclun, the old mesclun seed. But I wanted to show you about bottom watering real quick, because this is the next thing that I do quite a bit, and that is, rather than pouring water in the tops of these, every single one of them, it's a whole lot easier to pour about a 1/2 inch of water in here, like so. And it's about, it's not quite 1/2 inch. But what will happen is I will put this whole tray inside the water, and the soil is so cool because it will soak up what it needs for all these plants. It will siphon up, it will wick up the water it needs to water these plants. That's number 1. Number 2, it will, because the water's coming from the bottom, the roots will be driven downward to try to find its source of water, which is where its source of water is going to be. So that's actually a good thing. And we want them to do that. We want those roots to go deeper and seek out the nutrients, because this soil over here that I'm using has a lot of nutrients in it from the Dr. Earths that we mixed in here in a previous video. But anyway, so that's what we're looking at here. We'll let these things soak in here for a while. You can see the water down there in the bottom, and it's going to take, you give it a while to soak in, and frankly, eventually what happens with these is the roots to these go all the way to the bottom. They start sticking out the bottom of the cup, and they'll actually, as you saw earlier, drink the water right out of the grooves of the tray beneath. And I only have 5 of these trays. I will rotate these trays out for our lettuce and for all the other. Now the others seed starting there, I'm not really looking to give it that much space, so I will fill in. The reason why these are every other one the way they are is because this tray, these plants are going to be growing in here, and that's it. This is the last location that they're going to have, and they're going to go into our bay window. Well, there we go. All the fall seed starting is up. It only took me 3 days to do it. Yeah, I got stuck. You saw the last video about being frustrated about germination. You know where I got stuck on Monday when I realized I got a lot of failures this season, which has happened every year for me since we've been in this house. This is year 2. Last year I killed over 200 seedlings in the spring. This year in the fall, hundreds of seeds did not germinate. So go back and look at that video if you want to see more about the warning that I gave. But I do want to just say one more thing. You'll notice I used a lot of these solo cups, and I know someone might say, well, you're using a lot of plastics. And that's one of the things that gardeners do. They use a lot of plastics, and that bothers me. Believe it or not, yes, it bothers me. And these are actually all recycled. Now, I've been using these solo cups. Some of these, in fact, you might have seen where some of these actually completely fell apart. Some of these solo cups are years old. I've been using them year after year. This one here, they split out the side. Same thing. Some of these got used and just have lived their life. These here, you can see they were used a year already, and look at that. It's still a good cup. All of these were used probably in the spring, maybe. Somewhere. Yes, in fact, I recognize that hole. These are just solo cups with holes drilled in the bottom of them. I get a big stack of them, drill one hole through all of them, make it real fast. So, real cheap resource. They are recycled from a regular party that Mrs. Bowtie and I hold here in our home with our church. And so they've lived their lives as a drinking cup, and now they've lived some of these second, third, fourth, fifth life as a seedling cup. So yeah, I do get a lot of use out of these. It's not as wasteful as it might seem. I do want to point out, even these little jiffy things, I use these. Now this one here, I am pretty sure is 4 years old, and you'll notice there's little splits, several little splits in these. I've used these over and over and over, and for a number of years. So, yeah. I tend to use these. I am going to be getting some better ones of these, hopefully in the spring. That'll be my next big garden purchase as far as tools is concerned. So I'm a cheapskate. I'll admit it. I'm a cheapskate. But yeah, so that's everything potted up. It's actually pretty easy. Just when they start growing out of those little tiny seed starter trays, it's time to put them in cups. Now these will stay in these cups until they're ready to go out in the garden. This is it. If I know some of these things, if I planted them out in the garden now, they would get eaten. And so you'll see me when we do plant these out in the garden, I put little cups around the little seedlings to keep pests off them and so forth, and that helps them give a little bit more headway. But we'll let these grow to about twice their size, and they will be ready to go in the garden. And it is October 18th now. I started this on the 16th, Monday. It is now Wednesday, and it'll be probably the end of the month until we get these planted out. Maybe less, maybe 2 weeks. Most of these seeds were planted at the end of last month, the very last day of last month even. And so, yeah, maybe the end of the month, we will get these out in the garden in soil, so they'll be ready to go. Now, here in Destin, Florida, our first frost is supposed to be November 14th or later. And so actually, and I've seen somewhere say now it's closer to November 20-something. So somewhere mid to late November is our average first frost. A lot of these plants can take a frost. So we get them in the ground. If they get a few weeks to grow some roots, they should survive a light frost. Destin, Florida, we don't get heavy frost. Last Christmas, we did. It was a disaster of epic proportions for our brand new property. And yeah, that's a whole different story. But anyway, if you have not yet done so, please subscribe. This is my own personal journal of things going on in the garden. I'll use this video to remember when I did things with these plants. I go back and look at these, I really do. But you're welcome to join me along on the journey. So please subscribe. We are a little full right now. Obviously we'll have a planting out video coming in 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, so please subscribe, stick around, watch what else we're doing in the garden. I try to get as much informational content in as I can. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate you. You are my heroes. You have helped grow the community, and not just the Bowtie Life community, but the community as a whole of this vast compendium of information from all the homesteaders and gardeners that we have growing on YouTube, helping people to become more self-sufficient, to provide food for themselves, to provide sustenance and health for themselves. And I think this is so very important. This is such an important area of the internet, and you can take part just by subscribing and showing your support, just by watching the videos. Another thing that you can do is you can, if you think this is educational, informational, inspirational, or entertaining, hit those thumbs ups. And be sure to share this video with your other friends who might be interested in how to grow things in the garden and at what point things need to get up potted to the next size cup, and so they can get ready to go out in the garden. So from here I will be watering these from the bottom. I'm going to have to rotate some around because you'll notice these are kind of crammed in down here, and that's not great. But I'm kind of out of space up here. I probably will be rotating some of these. We have a table out front that I will be rotating them out so they can start getting a little sun, so that when the time comes, they will be ready to go out in the garden and harden them off to the direct sunlight. So, hey, appreciate you coming along. Y'all have a blessed day.